right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We have another episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch. Today is episode 6, and the title of this one is Decommissioned. So, of course, we got my boy, Chris. What's your name on TikTok, Chris?
You can find me at Star Wars Lawyer.
Hey, and then below him, below myself, we have Nico Skywalker, who is never below but always above. Nico, what's up, man? Can they find you as Nico Skywalker on TikTok too?
Yep, Nico.Skywalker right there.
Hey, that's what's up. And we got my girl Erin. She couldn't join us today. Nor the guy Aaron. Neither one of the Aarons are here. But eventually they'll be joining us back next week. So without further ado, let's get into this episode, you guys. So I'm gonna share my bulletins and my first initial thoughts. And then I'll share my reaction and we'll kind of bounce off of each other. So number one, we have Clone Force 99. They agreed to work with Sid, because I'm like, at this point, they're just like, we don't have any money. We don't really know exactly where we're going. So why the hell not? So they're going to work with Sid, right? Can she be trusted? I don't know. But I think as long as they're like useful to her, I think she can be trusted. I think it's one of those things. So anyway, in this episode, we see that they go to Corellia to retrieve a tactical droid. And by the way, I do want to say that Sid's aim is that was pretty impressive with that bow and arrow. Like it also showed something else to her. Like, yeah, she's a Trandoshan. Don't forget that. Like I'm sure she knows how to fight. So she's got some history, which I thought was really cool. So she's more than just this underground dealsman. She's got some experience. And then another thing I want us to talk about in this episode, recapping it, is Wrecker, which has been an ongoing thing where we're going to get there. I'm not going to go in depth yet, but y'all know I've been calling it. We've been calling it. So we're going to touch on that here in a minute. And then we also have Rafa and Tracy. Is it Tracy or Trace? God, I can't pronounce her name. I don't know. I think it's just Rafa and Trace, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. It kind of brought back flashbacks from Clone Wars season 7. So if you guys, remember those characters, they were introduced in that, and I will touch on that here in a minute as well. And ultimately, I think there's a lot of questions and asking around of who the heck hired who is watching these guys, what the heck is going on. There seems to be a mysterious figure or figures that are kind of behind the scenes that they're hinting at. And I think this episode really brought up some interesting questions. So, Chris, let's start with you at the top, man. What did you think about the episode and kind of this mission in general?
Oh, this episode was heavy. It was filled with a lot. We take it off at the top. Sid pretty much told the Bad Batch, like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. And I love that we got to see Omega, training, and Echo was like, he's the coach uncle, Wrecker's like the soft fun uncle, and Tech, as a matter of fact, Echo's the coach.
Yeah.
So I loved seeing that aspect and seeing that come to fruition with her being able to use it.
Yep.
And the Martez sisters coming back. I'm really surprised we didn't say something like that before, just because we know Dave Filoni loves bringing in characters he creates to his other projects.
Yep.
So, once that mask popped off, I was like, she was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So it was a good episode. I wait until we really get into Wrecker before, I share my thoughts on that. But this episode gave us a lot. This is like the crux where everything's going to build off of.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Nico, man, what are you thinking about, man? What did you think about this episode?
This episode was the first episode where I was hurting. I was like, Wrecker. No, I was just hurting watching the episode. Every time they cut back to him and he was like on the ground.
Yeah. Wrecker, no.
And as soon as the episode ended, I went and watched Dave Filoni talking about the Martez sister in interviews, and I was like, wow, this is you should have called him bringing in these characters. He really has a lot of love to him.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And I guess now this kind of gets us into the next bullet point where we are talking about Wrecker. I'll go first, and then you guys can bounce off of this. We have been talking about this for the last few episodes, and not in a sense of just like, us being skeptical about it. It's just so obvious now for sure that they are leading up to a moment where something's going to happen. But another thing I want to key on, he bumped his head and he was really struggling hard in this episode. But a part of that, we kept hearing him say, good soldiers follow orders, but you could tell he was like fighting against it. He was doing his best to not go through with it. So it makes me wonder, will he pull like a Crosshair and attack the Bad Batch, or will he do something where he saves them and sacrifices himself in the end? You know what I mean? Trying to fight against, the inhibitor chip. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think is coming with Wrecker? Because we know it just takes one more bump and that's it. Like, that's it. An eggshell got to fall on his head and we're done. So what do you guys think is coming next as far as that big moment? You know what I mean? Anyone can share.
Nico, I'll let you go first.
All right. Okay. I am very curious if if his chip is activated and he just doesn't have any orders yet. And where it's like if he runs into Crosshair and he's like, we're soldiers, we're supposed to be doing this, and then he's just like, good soldiers follow orders, and then just turns around and is like, I could see that happening, or it's just like one more knock away, because I could tell he was really fighting the inhibitor chip, because it's like it was a clash of his personality. Like he was on the ground just fighting, like not fighting anything, just fighting himself and the chip. So I think it'd be pretty interesting. Like that's an interesting side story to have Wrecker fighting, changing the chip.
I could see that too. Interesting. All right. Chris, man, talk to us. I know you're hurting.
Oh yeah, it was hard. It was like, because when I saw him like climb, when he looks up the ladder, because we know he doesn't like heights, and I was just like, oh no. And so then he climbs up there and then nothing happens, and they're like, you got to jump across, and I was like, no, this is where he's gonna hit his head. This is where it's gonna. And then he did it, and he's like, good soldier. So like, no, no.
Bad boy, no, don't do it.
And so then he sort of like fought himself to sleep. Which was interesting, because so I think about a couple other clone moments where they sort of like are in that Order 66 moment, with Crosshair. Obviously there was a Jedi there, which is why he shot at Caleb. With Rex, he hesitated. He was just like, find fives before he ended up, started shooting, but he was struggling against it. And then Jesse, when Rex was talking to him, he's like, she's not even a Jedi. And he was like, and then he was like, you're a traitor too. So it just shows like there is some agency that the clones have against the chip. And the Bad Batch probably more so because they're defective. So I think what Nico's saying is like, if he follows orders, it'll see what he does. But something that I noticed was that when Echo and Tech were calling for Wrecker, that's when he was like, good soldiers follow orders, or no, you heard the Crosshair echo in his head. But then when Omega called, he's up, he's ready to go, he's back to his old self. So that could be a coincidence, or it could be that because Omega is not a clone like the rest of them, that her talking doesn't trigger anything.
Interesting. You bring up a good point. And something else that you said that I want to, touch on is, there, well, at least right now, there's no Jedi around. So if that thing were to kick in, like, good soldiers follow orders, if the Order 66 thing is still kind of triggered, he's not going to go against necessarily anyone, unless another thing you said was like, will he pull like a Crosshair where he doesn't agree with one of the decisions that's being made in the group, and then it's like, hey, we're supposed to do it this way, we're supposed to follow orders, kind of a thing, so interesting, man. But either way, I know, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's like, something's not right, with the guy's head, He's got some screws that are loose, obviously. But he's such a lovable character that I feel
absolutely.
like, I just see him like if anyone's gonna sacrifice themselves, it would be him. That's kind of where my
Mhm.
thoughts are. But I don't know. Dave Filoni, he could pull something on us that we just have no idea. So we'll see. Next topic, aside from Wrecker. By the way, Nico, did you share you shared your thoughts on Wrecker, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have short-term memory loss today, apparently. So anyway, I had to make sure I have socks on and yeah, my hat. I think I'm good. So anyway, Rafa and Trace, you know, after seeing them in this episode, we kind of see that they can't be trusted necessarily, which is pretty obvious. I mean, they were running Spice, when we first met them. But another thing, I like their characters, but I will be honest. For me, I was never that big of a fan of the episodes that they were in Clone Wars season 7. It's not dissing the characters, but for me, it was just one of those things like, man, I know there's bigger stuff that's about to happen. And it was just
Mhm.
like we had a couple. I feel like the episodes they ran were very filler, at least for me. I still enjoyed them, but compared to like, when Maul showed up and we knew like Order 66 was about to happen. I was just like, all right, come on. Ahsoka, get back to the Jedi Temple so we can, that was kind of where my
Mhm.
thought was when I seen them. I was like, oh yeah, I remember them, but they weren't necessarily my favorite characters
Mhm.
in season 7. But aside from that, again, can you guys touch on again? And it's this universal question of like, who is watching who hired what is going on, who is this mysterious figure or figures that are behind the scene. So they obviously can't necessarily be trusted either, because it looks like they're giving intel to someone about Clone Force 99. Who do you
Mhm.
guys think it is?
So I have a couple guesses. But I think the best one is Bail Organa. And the reason why I say
Mm.
that is because Bale has some swagger. He had drip, so he had the cape.
Yeah.
Uh, but also just comparing this with the Ahsoka novel, which is canon.
Yep.
Bale is one of the heads of the rebellion with Mon Mothma. They're setting it up. And so Bale is desperately looking for allies. So he eventually comes across Ahsoka, in her novel.
Gotcha. Yep.
But if the connections are going to happen, I think Bale is going to want to seek them out to either tell them about Rex or to go find Rex.
Gotcha.
It like he knows where Rex is, but he's not going to listen to me. You guys need to go talk to him. You guys need to help him out. Because Ahsoka knows where Rex is in Rebels,
Yep.
but we don't know how she knows that because she
Yeah.
obviously never goes to him, but she was always in contact with Bail Organa after she, joined up.
Yep.
And I think with the Martez sisters saying everyone always chooses a side, they've clearly chosen the side of the rebellion.
Yep.
Because even though they definitely did not like the Republic, I think they recognize that the Empire is a whole different kind of monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Nico, what are your thoughts, man?
Hmm. Yeah, Bail Organa is the one that jumps out the most, but who would I want it to be? Like
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm.
crazy. Well, Bail Organa makes sense because I think it has to be somebody involved with the Empire,
Yeah.
with,
Yep.
with the rebels.
Yep.
So it could either be someone there. It could be a young Phoenix Squadron leader, I think from Rebels. We could be seeing
Mm.
like early formings of that entire like rebel small group that was just like really causing the Empire troubles. That'd be a cool part to
Interesting.
see.
You guys bring up good points, though. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, you know, if at this point of the galaxy, the Empire is at its height, it's rising, and really being established. So on the flip side of that, it's like, well, why wouldn't the opposing part of that be doing the same? And I guess, and now hearing you both talk about that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess that would make sense. like at some point you got to know, like, we already know there's this ominous feeling to the empire where, you know, people are changing their currency, everything is getting registered, people and ships are getting registered. It's a weird transition that's going on where, you know, it's really just this hard fist. That's what the empire is. So with that, of course, you know, there's going to be people that are going to be opposing to that. So you guys bring up a good point where it's like, yeah, this is also probably the birth of the Rebel Alliance. Another thing you mentioned, Chris, that I think I think that I'm just calling it, but I think for Rex, I think we have been, obviously we know we're going to see him at some point, but I don't think he's going to be super amped to be involved because of how we seen him in Rebels. You know, they were kind of just distant and doing their own thing. You know what I mean? It looked like they didn't have anything to do with the Rebels at first. You know, they were just kind of like staying away. And I wonder if in this part of the time frame will we see kind of like those moments of solitude because of everything that has happened. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's another idea as I was thinking about Rex. Is like, yeah, I know we're going to see him, but I wonder where his, you know, mentality is right now and how he feels about everything that's happened, you know, up to this point. So I think that would be interesting. And long term, guys, we have no idea who hired who. We don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, basically.
it has been interesting and it's a fun ride, and I definitely enjoy this episode. But yeah, again, you guys definitely bring up some good points as far as like, again, this is the height of the empire. They're rising up. So why wouldn't the opposing side be doing the same? I think that makes sense. Any other things you guys want to bring up about this episode? Anything at all?
I love seeing
I'm waiting.
droids back.
Oh, go ahead, Nico.
Oh, I love seeing droids back.
Oh yeah.
I always love when they find a way to throw in some battle droids, and that
Always.
was, I needed that, especially with the record going on.
Yeah. It's always
What's going on?
Yeah.
Did we
Did
win?
we win?
Roger. I love those guys, man. Chris, what about you, man? Any other thoughts?
I'm waiting for the Omega is a Mary Sue comments to start popping up.
Right.
Because even though we saw her, you know, training, like, oh, she used the bow.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
I'm
she's
just
traveling
waiting
through
for
the
those comments.
galaxy doing crazy missions with, you know, this group of clones that people are hunting after. The kid's gonna need to learn how to use a weapon. Come on, you know. And I do
Right.
want a toy. I'm just saying.
And
That's yeah. I want a toy of Omega. I think
oh yeah, absolutely. I need that like Omega like pose with the bow. You know, she's gonna be the Star Wars Oliver Queen.
Right.
You know, she's just gonna, you know, hold up to like Crosshair like you have failed this squad.
Right.
Now I just need that. Now I just need someone. I need one of my friends that does an Omega cosplay to do that.
Yes.
But you know, it also showed Omega had some great reflexes, like when that debris was dropping down, how quickly and how nimbly she moved. Like I know she's a kid,
Yeah.
but like, you know, she moved it. So
Yeah.
I'm still holding on to my force sensitive, you know.
Yeah.
Still holding on to it.
I think there's, you know, we didn't get to really see too much. I mean, yeah, she definitely did some good stuff in this episode, but I agree with you. I'm holding on to that idea that there's still something more to her that we just don't know yet, and I don't think we'll find out until obviously, you know, in later episodes. But there's a lot of things being unraveled with each of these characters, and I think that's what makes it so unique. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You know, Clone Force 99, they're like the Suicide Squad of Star Wars. You know what I mean? They're all so unique, all so different. But by that, you know, at the same time, I only think there's going to be a few that are going to come out alive at the end of it, is my guess. You know what I mean? Just because of how dangerous and crazy this squad is. But again, I could be completely wrong. We don't know. And that's why we got to keep watching. So anyway, that concludes my thoughts. You guys shared some good stuff, some good points. As far as other news, I'm actually currently working on merch. I've been getting asked about this a lot. So I'm making some t-shirts, and the question that I get asked daily was like 2 questions, at least on TikTok, where it's like, you know, are you the guy from Fortnite? And am I on your bounty list? So I picked these questions. I was like, hey, I asked my wife this. I was like, hey, which one do you think would look cooler on a t-shirt? She's like, you should probably go with the one that says, am I on your bounty list? So
Yeah.
we're gonna stick with that one and do some fun logo stuff. So t-shirts are on the way. That's something that I'm working on. And other than that, I mean, everything is growing like crazy. Everyone that's coming from TikTok and coming to watch us over here, thank you so much. We appreciate the subscriptions, the views. I greatly appreciate it. So you guys rock. And lastly, I've been promoting it quite a bit. But once we get to 10K here on YouTube, I will be giving out 2 free Mandalorian helmets that I will make out of PVA foam. So to 2 lucky people. But we have to get to 10K first here on YouTube. And 100K on TikTok will be the next face reveal. But if you follow me on YouTube, then whatever.
I love how someone brought that up in your comments. They're like, he does YouTube, guys.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're like, look at his old videos or just go to YouTube. I was like, But anyway, that's all the news from me. Thanks for hanging out with me and my friends, talking about the Bad Batch. We will see you guys for the next episode. Peace.
Take care.
All right, guys, that was a fun, short one. So